Most people see Ajin as a porcelain doll, beautiful, fragile, and perfect. But behind those camera-ready eyes is a master architect of destruction. Diagnosis? Antisocial personality disorder. Reality: she's a survivor. To climb the ladder of fame, Ajin doesn't just use people, she consumes them. Even her own mother was just a stepping stone. You see, Ajin's childhood wasn't a home, it was a war zone. An alcoholic mother who used her as a punching bag, and a gambling addict father who saw her as a future paycheck. In this darkness, Ajin learned her first lesson. If you don't want to be broken, you have to be the one doing the breaking. It started in high school. Her homeroom teacher loved to mock her, calling her a backgroundless orphan. Big mistake. On that teacher's birthday, amidst the balloons and cake, the classroom door burst open. It wasn't a guest, it was the teacher's husband, raining down photos of her illicit affair like confetti. As the teacher's life imploded in seconds, Ajin leaned in, whispering with a predator's smile, "Did you like my gift?" The teacher fled, convinced she'd just seen a demon in a school uniform. But the throne of the school had other challengers. Enter Sang-hee, a rich girl fueled by mommy's PTA bribes. When Jun, the school's golden boy, gave his debate spot to Ajin, Sang-hee's jealousy turned lethal. She leaked rumors that Ajin was a charity case orphan. Sang-hee thought she'd won when the principal dropped Ajin from the team. She even hand-delivered the insult. But Ajin just handed her a letter back. A love letter from Jun. Inside, in blood-red ink, "No one likes you. You're annoying. Stop acting up." Before Sang-hee could scream, news broke. The entire school was disqualified for bribery. Ajin hadn't just taken her spot, she'd burned the whole stage down. Every queen needs an enforcer. Meet Jay, the school delinquent. When his loan-sharking business was exposed, the school gasped. But Jay wasn't the boss, he was a puppet. Years ago, Ajin caught him stealing, and instead of reporting him, she owned him. When Sang-hee tried to use Jay's phone to expose Ajin, she walked right into a digital trap. The wedding money trap was the masterpiece. While Sang-hee was busy faking a stomachache to flirt with Jun, Jay planted stolen cash in her locker. The evidence was undeniable. As the class branded Sang-hee a thief, Ajin silently mouthed, "Don't cry, it's not over yet." The final blow? Ajin revealed that Sang-hee's respectable lawyer father was the one sleeping with the disgraced homeroom teacher. One secret destroyed two families. Ajin's parting words? "Thank you for being my target. You made school less boring." But the past is a ghost that doesn't stay buried. Just as Ajin earned her way into college, her father, the man who murdered her mother and called it an accident, returned. He didn't want a daughter, he wanted a money tree to sell to the highest bidder. When he stole her tuition and left her bleeding in the dirt, the golden boy Jun finally saw the truth. Jun wasn't just a friend, he was the son of the woman Ajin's father was sleeping with. They were bound by blood and trauma. 10 years of hard work vanished because of one registration deadline. Ajin woke up in the hospital with nothing but rage. She looked at Jun and asked the question that would change everything. "How far would you go for me?" When he hesitated at the word murder, she threw him away. She didn't need a protector, she needed a weapon. Ajin found a new tool. Choi, a retired athlete with a hero complex. She faked injuries, planted stalker evidence, and led Choi to believe her father was a monster coming to kill her. On a rainy night, the trap snapped shut. Choi, believing he was protecting Ajin, struck her father with a bat, but Choi didn't kill him. Once the hero fled in terror, Ajin picked up the bat. She finished the job with a smile. She didn't just kill her father, she framed her benefactor. She flushed the evidence, manipulated the timeline, and even recorded a detective accepting a bribe to ensure her own path stayed clear. When Jun tried to take the fall for her out of guilt, she didn't thank him. She used his distraction to sign a deal with a massive entertainment CEO, Ms. So, who buried the case in exchange for Ajin's soul. 5 years. Ajin is the it girl of the industry, but fame is a shark tank. Top star Lena, driven by jealousy, tried to bully Ajin on set. She didn't realize Ajin had already turned her own assistant into a double agent. Ajin let herself be slapped on camera, only to play the footage on the big screen at a high society banquet. Lena's career died in the time it took for a frame to refresh. Now Ajin's eyes are on the ultimate prize, Ingan, the nation's favorite actor. She doesn't love him, she wants his status. She manipulated his grieving grandmother, staged a chance meeting in the snow, and used her old lackey Jay to make Ingan late for a date, just so she could play the patient, freezing martyr. It worked. Under the falling snow, Ingan kissed the woman who was systematically dismantling his life for a headline. As high school rivals resurface and the public begins to question her past, Ajin finds herself in the one place she never expected, the arms of Ingan's grandmother. As the old woman rocks her to sleep, believing Ajin is a good kid who had no choice, Ajin's eyes stay open. She didn't have a choice? No, she made every single one, and she's just getting started. But the peace of a grandmother's hug is a luxury Ajin can't afford. While she rests her head on that kind woman's shoulder, the digital world is already sharpening its knives. Sang-hee, now a bitter shadow of her former self, wasn't satisfied with one post. She has teamed up with Officer Park, the disgraced detective who lost his badge because of Ajin's recording. Together, they possess the one thing that can topple a superstar: the truth about her father's death. The next morning, Ajin wakes up to a phone that won't stop vibrating. A grainy black and white video has surfaced. It doesn't show the murder, but it shows Ajin calmly walking out of her house on the night of the killing, not unconscious, not injured, but perfectly composed. The traumatized victim narrative begins to crack. Ms. So calls an emergency meeting. Her face is a mask of cold fury. She tells Ajin that Longstar Entertainment doesn't invest in sinking ships. If Ajin can't bury this by midnight, the company will release their own dirt file on her to distance themselves. Cornered, Ajin realizes she needs more than just a manipulator's tongue. She needs a sacrifice. She calls Ingang. Her voice is a masterclass in fragile despair. She tells him she's being framed by the same people who bullied her as a child. Ingang, blinded by the hero role she's cast him in, offers to go to the press, but Ajin stops him. "They won't believe you," she whispers. "They need a villain they can actually catch." She turns to Jay, her loyal shadow, the boy who would burn the world for her. She asks him to find the original source of the video. Jay tracks it back to a hidden cloud drive owned by Officer Park. But as Jay prepares to delete it, Ajin gives him a different order. "Don't delete it," she says. "Modify it." She has Jay deep-fake a small, crucial detail. The figure in the video isn't her. It's Lena's former assistant. By the time the sun sets, the scandal shifts. The public, always hungry for a new target, turns its rage toward a conspiracy by Lena to frame the nation's sweetheart. But there is one variable Ajin didn't calculate: June. June has been writing a new book, a thinly veiled autobiography of a girl who lost her soul to the spotlight. He shows up at her penthouse, not as a fan or a friend, but as a mirror. He tells her that Choi is dying in prison from a broken heart, still believing he killed her father. He tells her that he has the actual, unedited recording of her father's accident from years ago, the one where she watched her mother die. "You can destroy Sang-hee and you can destroy the detective," Jun says, his voice devoid of the old warmth. "You can't destroy the truth. It's living inside you, Ajin, and it's eating you alive." Ajin looks at the man who has loved her since they were children and realizes he is the final loose end. To become the goddess she wants to be, she has to cut the last string connecting her to the dirt. As she pours him a glass of wine, her hand doesn't shake. She remembers the lesson she learned in that dark house years ago. In a world of predators and prey, the only way to stay safe is to be the one who everyone is afraid to touch. She smiles, clinks her glass against his, and prepares to write the final chapter of her own legend. The wine in Jun's glass catches the moonlight, a deep, bruised crimson. He doesn't drink, he just stares at Ajin, seeing the monster he helped create. He knows that behind that designer dress and the scent of expensive perfume, she is still that little girl standing in the wreckage of her childhood home, but this time she isn't hiding from the fire, she's the one holding the match. Ajin takes a slow sip, her eyes never leaving his. She doesn't deny the truth. She doesn't cry. Instead, she laughs, a cold, melodic sound that sends a shiver through the room. She tells him that truth is a luxury for people who have never had to fight for their lives. She reminds him that every person she destroyed was a person who tried to break her first. She wasn't the villain. She was the inevitable consequence of their cruelty. Jun pulls a small, worn USB drive from his pocket, the final evidence, the unedited footage of the night her father died, not the fake version she fed the public, but the one showing her standing over the body with a look of pure, chilling relief. He tells her he's going to the police, not because he hates her, but because he loves the little girl she used to be, and he can't let that girl be buried under any more lies. Ajin doesn't move to stop him. She doesn't plead. She simply asks him if he remembers the night he was sick as a child, when she stayed by his side while his own mother ignored him. She asks him if he truly thinks the world will be a better place if she is in a cage, while the real monsters, the corrupt CEOs, the bribed detectives, the abusive parents, continue to run free. As Jun turns toward the door, Ajin's voice drops to a whisper. She tells him that Jay is already waiting outside, not to hurt him, but to show him something. She points to the television. A breaking news report flashes across the screen. Officer Park and Sang-hee have been involved in a high-speed accident. The digital evidence they held against her has been lost in a sudden server fire at the police station. Ajin walks up to Jun, her face inches from his. She tells him she is now too big to fail. If she goes down, she'll take the entire industry, Miss So, and even Jun's own family legacy with her. She offers him a choice. He can release the truth and watch the world burn, or he can stay by her side and help her rewrite history. Jun looks at the USB drive, then at the woman who was once his only light. He realizes that the Ajin he loved died a long time ago. With a heavy heart, he drops the drive into the fireplace. He watches the plastic melt and the blue flame flicker. He hasn't saved her. He simply realized that he is just another person she has successfully manipulated into silence. Years later, Ajin stands on a global stage accepting an award that cements her status as an international icon. The world cheers for the survivor, the warrior, the perfect woman. In the front row, Jun sits in silence, a ghost in her world of gold. Behind the scenes, Jay continues to clean the blood off her trail. As the cameras flash, Ajin looks directly into the lens. The public sees a smile of triumph, but for a split second, the mask slips. She has everything she ever wanted, the power, the fame, the ultimate revenge. But as she looks out at the sea of faces, she realizes she is the only person left in the world who knows exactly who she is. and that is the greatest destruction of all.